Regalito. So that's when I decided that I was going to fix up the gift shop, the restaurant. Had sawdust on the floor, so I closed the restaurant in the morning to put, what's that tile they put
Linoleum?
down? Yeah, like linoleum. And I painted, put sellotapes around, because it was tongue and groove, you know what I mean? And I did, I cleaned it up. The toilets, you had to hold your nose, because the Greeks were pissing on
I thought it was outside. The toilet was
it was
outside.
out, well, you had to clean them. So I take the hose and I throw a gallon of Clorox in there, and I had Rummy Frank and I had Achiote, and I make them go in there with a broom and scrub it down, because you know that's the only toilet we had. And I put a little toilet in one of the rooms in the side where Mother had the gift shop in the alley. So I fixed it all up, and one day, my daddy comes down and says, "Timucanis, you got the store closed?" And he was cooking and serving people to eat, but then it was just the diners. There was nobody.
Yeah.
There was nobody. Louis Wolf, believe me, had a front porch there. So I cleaned that damn place up. The jitney buses were going by and said, "Look at Bertha barefooted and scrubbing." I've been through hell. But anyway, I cleaned it up. Oh boy, when I cleaned that place up, and I fixed it, and all the big generals and colonels were coming.
Oh, your father brought all the...
I brought them
Where'd you get them from?
from Drew Field. Mike was gone, Lukey was gone, Jackie was gone. I was taking care of
What would
them.
happen on a Sunday if somebody came in and wanted a drink?
We couldn't have it until after 1 o'clock.
What were they doing?
In a coffee cup. Nobody caught us. Nobody caught us. And we did that for years. We did that for years and years and years. But my daddy did, you know, when Mike came back, I had $16,000 in the bank. I had bought the big White House. And you know how I bought the big house? I told you about that.
Uncle Lukey's house?
Yeah, I bought it.
How'd you get it?
Well, one day we were living, you know where we were living? Well, you know where the big hall is up there at the, where Uncle Mike built there, across the street on the corner where Aunt Anna lived? We lived right next to a nice shack.
One of those little wooden...
No, right across from, it's right there on Pinellas, the house up on where Sideri lives.
Everybody was living there?
Oh, no, I was living there.
My mom wasn't born yet?
Yeah, she was. She was in, we put her in the academy. There's 15 years difference between.
I know.
She don't know shit. I took care of those boys. I had to wash for them, clean them, feed them. My mother was with my daddy.
You did all the laundry and
I
cleaned
did
all
all
the
the
dishes?
dirty work. Anyway, when Mike came back, I had paid the loan on the restaurant. I had bought the big house, and you know I bought the big house. I had $700. Tony gave me allotment, and I forged my father's check for $1,000, and I put a binder on it. Fred Howard says to me one day, he was a realtor. He comes in his birthday, you shouldn't be living up in that house. I should be living in a nice house. I said, he says, isn't there a house in Tarpon that you like? And kidding, just kidding. I said, oh, I love that house with the big white columns. Just kidding. In a week he came back and he said, do you know that house is for sale? Guess how much? $12,500.
Oh my God, look at that.
I says, are you kidding? I said, sell the one we got. We put that down. And I got
Got some money saved.
and that $700 I got, we put the binder down. He says, well, you got to give them cash. They need all the money. He says, well, go up to register. My girlfriend used to work for Bayer, the lawyer. I go right up there. She says, good old man register. He'll give you some money. I go down there. He had a grocery store that much thick with dust. And his desk, the desk was right in the back.
That's like this store when we got in
And
this
then I
store.
went in the back there and I said, Mr. Register, I'm 19 years old. 20 I might have been. And I went back there, Mr. Register, I need some money. He says, who sent you up here? I said, my daddy. He says, yeah, what do you want it for? I said, well, we need to buy that house, but we don't have all of it. And he said, how much you need? I need $6,000. He says, yeah, well, you got to go get your daddy to sign this paper. I get in this truck, the army truck. And I go around the corner, I sign Louis Pappas. I knew how to sign his name. Come back around the corner, go into registers and gives me the $6,000. We go give it to old man, we bought the house.
But she was a little snake too.
Oh yeah. And we made the papers, Buyer made the papers, and we bought the house.
Oh my God.
And when my brothers came back from war, they didn't know they were coming to a house like that. I had fixed it up with balloons and had all things, and we had parties.
Did they all come back together from the war?
No. First, Uncle Manuel came. And then Mike came later because he had jungle rot. From New Guinea, all the skin on his hands fell off. And they had him in the hospital in San Francisco. So he was in the hospital for 3 months.
Wow.
Tony came. And we opened up a meat market, a meat store. We had frog store.
Butchers.
Uptown where A&A was.
Right.
But that didn't go, and we had borrowed money there, $12,000, and we couldn't pay it back. Oh, I've been through hell. Anyway, God was good to me. And when Mike came, he found the $16,000 in the bank. He found we had the big house. I had cleaned up the restaurant a little bit. The soldiers were still coming and going because I was having big parties. They would call me up from Drewfield and tell me, the general would call Mr. Ashton, the lieutenant colonels and all that. Bertha, we got a party of 12. We got a party of 6. We're coming over with special drivers to come and bring. Tell Daddy to put a big red snapper on. Tell him to make some turtle soup. Tell him to fix this, fix this. I fix up the tables. I steal flowers out of the yards and fix the flowers, fix the damn tables and do everything.
Oh, nice.
Man, I worked my ass off. I'd get there.
Where did he get the money? Where did grandfather get his money for the property that he bought in Holiday? Where did that all come about? How did that all come?
Every Sunday, George Emanuel, he was a big realtor. All the 3-4 years that my brothers were gone and my husband.
Right.
My husband was gone 3.5 years. Mike was gone 4 years. They were gone. He would come on Sunday morning and say, Louis, and go through all the pots of food because my daddy would feed him. And he'd say, Echo, deca acres. What's that tell you? I don't know how cheap, dirt cheap. $250, $350. So every week, my daddy said, dos tu cheque. And he'd buy 10
acres.
5-day foods whenever he'd get them, and he'd get them. And I'd throw him out of the store because I was running broke. I said I wanted the money to be there for the boys.
Keep it for the...
But it was the best thing he ever did, my dad.
No.
And then when they went through, the road went through. They got $1 million for that, so $2 million, whatever, the Pappas Plaza. And then Dreer bought the rights for the all that money. And that's how they got all this money and remodeled and
Forced those east.
But they did it with my $16,000 and all the acreage I bought. And he
Did you ever go out to the trestle and go out? Was that all there? The little bridge over there, and the trestle and the little where the river was. Did you guys ever go swimming out there and ride your horses out there?
They did. The kids did.
I think my mom did too.
I never had time. I was too busy. She was a Mrs. Astor's horse.
She was the spoiled one. You know
was
what?
Spoiled rotten. My mother gave her anything she wanted. I was the bitch.
When Uncle George was alive, he would tell me that my dad and my mom were the spoiled little kids.
Rotten.
They were both spoiled rotten. They always got
what they wanted.
Yeah,
and everybody.
She was my mother was going to marry this guy that was. She was supposed to go to college and everything. I went out to the pier, and your grandfather was standing in the back serving beers, and he was working out there for I don't know who he was working. And he says, "Oh, you're Bertha houlis." I says, "Yeah, why?" He says, "I hear you have a sister." I says, "Yeah, I have a sister, Nina."
Oh, you set her up?
No, I didn't. And he says, "I'd like to meet her." He was good looking. I'll say that about your grandfather. He was a good looking man, and he could train a snake. He could talk a snake into doing the dance.
That's me.
Yeah, he was good at that. And so she went out there one night, and I guess she met him, and that did it.
So when did you hook up with Uncle Tony?
Well, I was married to him.
At 20?
19 years old.
Come on.
Well, 20 years old. I've been married to him for 70 years.
So you didn't have Michael for 5 years?
No, because he was gone. How was I going to have him? With somebody else?
No. I mean, oh, that's right. You wouldn't have him before
He
you
left. Went to work service.
So you didn't get him until 5 years later. After.
When he got home from the war.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
In 1974.
But you got married before you went. Before
Of course.
Before he went out.
As soon as I got married,
Shipped him off. Deployed him.
they let him stay because he was married American style in the courthouse. But I was married in April. They took him in October. He was gone, and I didn't see him for 3.5 years.
What do you mean? He never came back for?
No.
You know.
I did go out to California and stay with him for 3 months, and then they took him and put him.
But you didn't get pregnant then.
No, I couldn't. I was working. I was taking care of a restaurant with my father. My father.
No, when you went out to California.
No, my father said for me never to get pregnant because he might not come back.
You might be dead.
Yeah, that was what my father told Tony. He came up to the house and knocked on the door, and he says, "Oh, you're all right. You can have Bertha, but you're not to have any children. Not to get married until you get back." But what happened? It got deferred, and we were married in September. And my daddy says, "Hey, how long is this going to go on?" So we got married in April the 12th, but they took him. He was gone.
Why was there such a space between Michael and Louis?
Well, I was working, trying to make a living.
So you guys didn't have any time for
We had a grocery store. I was working up there, making signs up on the windows. You know, potatoes, 10 pounds, 29 cents. Sugar, 5 pounds. Big signs. I paint them, big signs. I was... y'all don't know what it is to work my ass off. And she thought she was Princess Di.
Oh, yeah.
She was a princess. But you know, my mother never was around. We were working. She was left alone by herself. And we ate French fries and whatever was left in the back kitchen, everything. We always did that. My father would leave me 25 cents, 50 cents. I'd go get some pork chops or hot dogs, feed the kids, make French fries, and I had RG there, my best girlfriend. And we ate up. We lived in that house. It was wooden floors, terrible. We had a lot of money when we were in Tampa. And when my father lost all his money,
During the Depression.
I was only 7 years old, 6 years old.
See, during the Depression.
Papu had his restaurant on Polk Street. He had an apartment house, AP drugstore, 4 apartments. A big house in the back and a garage apartment over here. And let me tell you, honey, he had money. And when the crash and people were jumping out of the windows, he put us all in a truck. And my mother took whatever furniture she got that was loose. But she had nice stuff in the apartment, beautiful stuff. And she put us all in a truck and brought us and took us to Reed Street and put us in this house that when you looked at the wall, you could see the outside. From riches to rags.
Yeah, and then back to riches.
And then we started for nothing. Then my father started to work for Uncle Jim Melissa's, because he's where this store is. Yeah. This was his first restaurant. And Uncle Jim would come in here and tell my daddy what to do. My daddy didn't like it. He put on his hat and took off, went down the street, and there was this big sponge house where the restaurant is. And Mr. Psilaki was flipping sponge. He says, "What's the matter, Louis?" He says, "What's the matter?" He says, "My brother-in-law, he wants everything his way. He wants to run everything." He says, "I'm not going to put up with his ass." And Mr. Psilaki says, "Well, I'm giving up the sponge house. Why don't you make this a restaurant?" He says, "It's a good idea." He says, "You go ahead and open it up. When you get some money, you can pay me."
Wow.
So my daddy went in there with a wood stove. Not a gas stove, not an electric stove,
no electricity.
a wood stove, and did his Greek cooking. Bought the food from Pascalaki,
That family, that's
5, 10 pounds, whatever, and we fed the divers. That's who our clientele was. It was sponge divers.
shrimpers or no shrimpers?
Huh? No, we didn't have any of that. Oh, we had the fish house in front of us, Mr. McQuarrie. And every time we wanted fish, and I got to go get 5 pounds fish, and I got to go get turtles. We had turtles. They had cluvis out there.
Awesome.
Big cluvis, and you could walk around and pick the turtle. They were this big around. And you take the flippers, and Dad would make awesome soup. And then he'd make the steak. Boy, that was number one.
Green turtle steak.
Oh.
The best, Joseph.
And
I'm
then,
serious.
when the war hit, and then I had the crash base here, and the Coast Guard over there.
Oh, I didn't know the crash.
And you know the crash base, there was 42 boys. They knew I was married, and my father stood in the middle of the restaurant one time. He says there was about 20 of them in there. He says, "This is my daughter, and I want you to respect her. I don't want no trouble." And then I became the banker. This one wanted $1, this one wanted $2, this one wanted $5 to bring his wife. This one was broke.
Yeah, girl. Good do.